Okay, welcome back, YouTube. So I wanted to do just a follow-up video to the video I made about a day ago when I was saying finally it seems like we're establishing a zone because I've seen a lot of comments saying, oh, well, it's still going down. So I want to explain what a zone is. A zone typically is a range that the price will fluctuate in. So it does not necessarily mean that the price is going to stay stagnant at whatever number it reaches that zone. It will have a range that in which it's going to flow into. And we'll take a look here at the charts as well. All of these, even for Bitcoin, for Doge, and for several of the other top cryptos, they're all pretty much bouncing between those zones and putting long wicks down. They'll go down and then they'll close at a different price. So, and the second thing I want to bring up is where the asset closes at is very important. So if you look at a lot of my charting, a lot of my charting is done on the daily because I'm looking at some of the long-term positions and not necessarily looking for like short-term entries or anything. So you'll see those closings are as they read. You'll see the entire candle for the day, but the closing in the wick, that's typically going to be for the day. So if you see a big sell-off in the morning or even like midday and it drops, I don't know, 5 cents, and just for Doge, or if it drops $10,000 for Bitcoin, okay, yes, that's an extreme wick or candle, but it does not necessarily mean that's going to close there. And we've seen that several times, and we'll take a look at that in the charts as well. The third thing I want to bring up is what are we seeing here? Why is the price, especially for Bitcoin, why is it selling off? And we see that companies like BlackRock and these companies that have these ETFs are increasing their supply every day. So my theory here is they have to put, now that these ETFs are approved, they're going to have to report on their holdings in a specific account. And I believe that all of these companies that we see so far, I believe that they've already had Bitcoin. They were already in the market. I don't believe any of these institutions owned zero Bitcoin, or even if they're doing it on a private level and have someone holding it for the company because they would position themselves to buy the coin so that they would sell into the market, get the price down, and then accumulate at a lower price. This here is something kind of what I would expect initially before you have that big run up. So what I'm saying is I believe that these institutions already have positions inside of these assets. And what we're witnessing right now is a swap. I believe that they're selling out of whatever account they were holding the assets in before. They're selling to tank the price, and now they're buying it on their official account with these ETFs at a lower price. And if you think about it, it's really genius, right? It's from a financial perspective, already having a position, having a large amount of coins. Then before you actually get the ETF approved, you get the ETF approved, you start selling into the market, tank the price down, get a better price for your actual fund, and then you get to ride the wave back up off of the downtrend that you established. It's manipulating the price, yeah, but from a financial perspective and for what they're offering their clients along with their fees and all that kind of stuff, it's genius as far as to make money and accumulate those coins at the lowest price. We know that there's going to be price manipulation. I know a lot of people are excited for these institutions to come into the market and stuff, but you have to kind of keep in mind crypto or not, you're not going to change who they are at heart. If they like to find ways to manipulate prices and manipulate the market, that is what they're going to do. So I believe that we're seeing a shuffling, and that's kind of sending ripples all throughout the market. So you're going to see that, especially in the top 10, you're going to see these huge sell-offs because you're seeing a lot of money being moved around. I think this is obviously a lot of institutional. There's a lot of the institutionals doing that we're seeing a lot of this money being moved around. So, but ultimately, as far as for zones, we're going to take a look here in the chart. But I wanted to kind of clear that up because I saw some panic there for some reason. So I kind of wanted to explain what a zone was and those other 2 points that I elaborate on. So we're going to start here with Doge. Let me change my banner really quick. There. Okay. So we'll take a look here at Doge. We'll see this is Fibonacci I have up here along with some other EMAs, but ultimately you'll see that where we are right now, as far as we're in the 747 mark, we've been here before. We've been in this zone before, and we're looking to see as far as where the asset is actually going to close at, because we closed, what is this, at 776 yesterday. This candle is still obviously in motion, but you'll see even in the previous zone here, even though we were trending in the 796, the 382 zone, excuse me, you'll see that we had some closings in this zone. So, and we'll have some price action in this zone. But as far as on the red days, we had some closing in this zone. The green days put us back in this zone, but all of the red days, except for one, was closed in this zone right here. So what we're looking at, even if we see as far as like the wicks here, what we're looking at is we're a search for the liquidity, right? So whether or not it's here or even on the extreme side, if it's here, we'll see that search for liquidity. And we're going to take a look here at Bitcoin in a minute, because it looks like we may, even with Bitcoin, it looks like we're looking at another $1,000 to $3,000 sell-off. So this is, especially with all the money that's coming into the markets, this is kind of, I don't want to say like a last opportunity or anything, I don't want to say that, but this is kind of what you would search for after having a big catalyst in the market and looking at the macros. A little segue here, macros, the demand a lot across the board is softening. So we're talking about having like the rate cuts and stuff. The Fed report was not as good as most people would have anticipated for the beginning of the year, at least for December going forward, from a lot of the smaller Federal Reserves. But I'll say that for a different video. But the macros certainly kind of threw us a curveball. Just kind of want to put that out there. So ultimately, we're looking at a search for the liquidity here, right? So if we have that search for liquidity, we will be looking for either maintaining here in this zone and at the extreme here around the 200-day EMA. But ultimately, you see the rejections here. When we come down at the bottom of this zone, these are really strong rejections. Look at the size of these wicks. I'll zoom out a little bit. This is what I mean by we've had some closings here. So we had this closing yesterday. Everybody was panicking, saying, "Oh my God, it broke out of the zone." Not necessarily. This is all something that's done. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 3 times it's closed in this zone, and this is just on this trend. 7. So in 7 previous times did it enter this zone before bouncing back up. So you can't negate that. And when you see these, I know everybody typically has their notifications turned on, and it'll say, "Oh, such and such coin sold off this percentage," and stuff. Just gotta keep in mind, if you're long, don't worry about the micro or the short term. You'll see these types of price actions, especially if you've been in the coin long enough. You know what you're looking at as far as breaking into another zone is probably like another 20 to 30%. Then you can say, okay, well, we're not finding any liquidity on that zone. It's possible that we're going to have to go to the next lower zone to try and get that liquidity. So ultimately, just kind of keep that in mind. In fact, let's look at shorts before I go. See if shorts are jumping in on this. Nope, shorts are swapping as well. Slightly green, but they're still pretty much trending sideways. So they're doing their little swaps here as well and renewing some of those shorts at better prices. So as we talked about in the last video, that's what they're going to do, especially at these levels. But typically they like to spike the shorts at around like 10 cents or so. That's typically where you see the bigger entries. So Bitcoin is down on the 72-day EMA. That is a big sell-off here. So this is what I mean by that search for liquidity. And if you take a look here at the zones, Bitcoin has been here several times before on its movement around this 40K mark. So this is doing the same thing across the board. I just made a post on the community section as well on X, and I was saying make sure you're zooming out and not just hyper focusing on your coin, because it can lead you to think that, oh, okay, well, there's something wrong with my asset, or maybe this catalyst isn't big enough. Zoom out, take a look at the overall market, and you'll see a similar pattern. This is not coin specific when you're looking at these charts here and what's happening across the board with momentum. So not coin specific, and we're searching for liquidity across the board. And right now we're dealing with that 40K mark. This is a green candle. We'll see where we close at. But I say, as far as for liquidity coming into Bitcoin, I say anywhere between 37 and 40K, right? Or like a $3,000 window there as far as where that liquidity is going to come in. That would put us right here at the top of the previous rejection level if we were able to come down. So that means if we were to break through here, that put us at the top of the previous rejection level. And just kind of go back to give you an idea with Doge, that would put us, if we follow a similar pattern, that would put us back here at around low sevens at the top of that level. But ultimately, that's the search for liquidity while they're doing these swaps. Nothing abnormal with that. Even Ethereum is right here on the 14-day. So holding up, again, same thing here are these previous retest levels. But if it breaks through, we can see a sell-off here, probably like another 150, 200 bucks. So not a big deal for Ethereum. Ethereum is doing quite well, actually, of the three. So let's kind of keep that in mind, zoom in and understand that we got thrown a curveball in macros, and we're having that swap here. I believe that's happening in crypto with a lot of the institutions coming in. So I probably expect that until we get concrete evidence of a date and a time frame for when these rate cuts are going to change, so that we can start changing the dynamics of the macros. So with that being said, just going to follow up, provide that bit of clarity and a little bit more insight into what I believe is happening with the price action. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys in the next one.